I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. I have muted everyone, so do unmute yourselves if you wish to speak, but try and keep any background noise to a minimum if you do so. So hopefully you can all see my screen here, and the topic today is again on the looking at different hands where you need to make a decision about whether to draw trumps, whether to ruff instead of drawing trumps, whether to draw some trumps and maybe ruff some, and whether to ruff in one hand or both hands. And a good general rule is if you can make the same number of tricks by drawing trumps first and then maybe ruffing, then by all means do that. You're avoiding the risk of losing tricks by them being over-ruffed, for example. But sometimes you should aim for extra tricks by ruffing in one hand, or sometimes by ruffing in both hands, a cross-ruff. And I'm recording this video and I'll put it on YouTube, and for anyone seeing it there who's interested in joining in these lessons or the games afterwards, do send me an email. It's got my address there, and that shows you how to I'll tell you how to join these games. So we're going to have a look at a few hands, and let's start with this one. Let's just look at the bidding to start with. So North here opens a diamond, you bid a spade. Now, although you have a very nice hand here with I think something like 16 points, there's no need to jump here. You don't really know where you're headed for in this hand. It might be spade, it might be heart, it might be no trump. And just bid one spade here. That shows 6 to 16 points, could even be more on occasion, and see what your partner responds. Here your partner should rebid 2 diamonds because they're not strong enough to bid 2 hearts. 2 hearts would be the bidding a suit above the 2 level of the first suit, and would show more like 16 points. But with a minimum hand, they bid 2 diamonds. And you now bid your second suit. A new suit by responder is absolutely forcing here. You still don't know where you're headed for here, but you just bid 2 hearts. And now your partner supports you. They show a minimum hand and they support your hearts. And let's suppose you end up in 4 hearts. Okay? Do interrupt me if you have any questions on the bidding. Let's suppose the opponents lead a club, and let's have a look at this from declarer's point of view. And I hope what you can see on this hand is you have 2 shortages. You have shortage of spades in dummy, and you have a shortage of diamonds in your own hand. So this is a hand that really calls out for the possibility of cross-ruffing. In other words, what we're going to do on this hand is never draw trumps. We're just going to cross-ruff the spades and the diamonds and make as many tricks as possible by taking our trumps individually rather than drawing trumps. The other thing we have on this hand that's good is we have quite good trumps in each hand. Apart from the 2 of hearts here and the 3 of hearts in dummy, all our hearts are high. So once we've got the small trumps out of the way, we'll be able to cross-ruff, and there's nothing the opponents will be able to do about that. So this is a hand that calls out for cross-ruffing. Let's see how it goes. We'll win the first trick, let's suppose with the king of clubs, and suppose you start off by playing the ace of spades and then ruffing a spade. Then we might start on diamonds next, maybe the ace of diamonds, and then the king of diamonds, and we can actually throw away a club on this one. Okay, so if we throw away a club, now we might ruff a diamond. So we plan to ruff a diamond, we ruff that first one low, and now we're in good shape because we've got good trumps in each hand, we've got high trumps in each hand. All we want to do before we complete cross-ruffing is just cash any other winners. If you have any other winners that you haven't already cashed, get them now, otherwise you might not be able to cash them later on. And now we're in good shape. Now we can just cross-ruff our spades and cross-ruff our diamonds, and there's nothing the opponents can do about it because we've got just high trump in each hand. So we can cross-ruff at the end, and we can actually make all 13 tricks on this hand by a complete cross-ruff of the hand. Any comments or questions on that one?
A quick one. Could you have ended up in no trump with that hand because of the...
Well, you could, but I think you'll do much better in hearts, won't you? So once you find an 8-card fit in a major suit, you're much better off in hearts here. In no trump, well, you're a little bit more vulnerable, and obviously you can't make all those tricks by cross-ruffing. So 4 hearts is definitely a better contract. I don't think you can really expect to bid a slam here, but you can make all the tricks, in fact.
You said to cash the clubs, but not knowing the distribution between East and West, is there not some danger that they may still be able to trump? Because you're doing cross-ruffing rather than taking trumps out.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, if you look at the club situation, there is a slim chance that you won't be able to cash 2 clubs. There's a slim chance that the opponents would ruff one of those, but would take very extreme distribution for that to happen. There'd have to be a singleton club. So you are taking a slight risk that you won't be able to cash your side tricks. You should take your side tricks early on before the opponents have had a chance to throw away clubs that would prevent it. So yes, there is a chance of that, but generally speaking, on a hand like this, you'll do much better by cross-ruffing than by drawing trumps. And every now and then you might get a bad result because you cross-ruffed instead of drawing trumps, but on average, you'll come out ahead by cross-ruffing on hands like this. Let's have a look at another hand that sort of looks a little similar. Let's suppose this time you open 1 club and there's a 1 spade overcall. And if your partner doubles, that is a negative double showing the 2 unbid suits. In particular, it should be promising 4 cards in any unbid major. So you now know you have a heart fit. And this hand, I think, should probably go to 3 hearts because although it's only 14 points in high cards, if you look at your losers using the losing trick count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losers. So it's a little better than a minimum for opener. So I would bid 3 hearts, and your partner takes you to 4 hearts. So the opponents lead a spade, and down comes dummy, and let's stop to make a plan on this hand. So this one looks a little bit like the other hand, in the sense that there's an opportunity to ruff spades in the north hand, and there's an opportunity to ruff diamonds in your own hand. But this hand is quite different because in addition to that ruffing, you have 4 club tricks you'd like to take, okay? And if you do what you did last time and just cross-ruff your spades and your diamonds, you won't be able to cash 4 clubs. So if we just do what we shouldn't do on this hand and just see what happens. If they take a spade and suppose play a diamond, if we do what we did last time, like playing another king of diamonds, ruffing a diamond, and then maybe trying to ruff a spade, we've got high trumps now, but if we keep ruffing, we'll be unable to draw the opponent's trumps. So at this point, let's just bring up the 4 hands. We can see here that if we were to ruff low here, we might get over-ruffed. Let's suppose we decide to ruff with the ace. And then we could try to ruff a spade. This is wrong, by the way. I should have a big sign saying this is not the way to do this. Because what you've done now, if you ruff those tricks, I don't know if you can see, but you've actually lost control of the trump suit now. Because East has got 3 trumps left, and you've only got 2 in each hand. So you will not be able to draw trumps, and you will therefore not be able to take 4 club tricks here. If you try to start cashing your clubs now, they'll get ruffed, okay? And you can ruff another spade, but you won't be able to draw trumps, and you won't be able to cash your clubs. If you try to draw trumps here, you can take 2 rounds, but you'll lose the last one because they've still got a trump out. You'll make 10 tricks on this one, but you've missed out on making your 4 club tricks there. So how should this one be played? Let's look at it how it should go. And what you have to recognize on this hand, that this is not a hand suitable for doing what we did on the first hand and cross-ruffing the whole hand, because we want to draw trumps on this hand. If we don't draw trumps, we won't be able to cash 4 clubs. Okay, so we do want to draw trumps on this hand, and this is one of the hands that comes into the category of deciding to ruff in one hand while you use the trumps in the other hand to draw the opponent's trumps. In other words, you make one hand the master hand while you focus on ruffing in the other hand. So let's look at this both ways. I can look at this hand from my own hand's point of view, playing here, and if I try and do that, I can see I've got these spade losers, which I could try to ruff in dummy. Okay. Apart from that, I hope I don't lose any diamonds or hearts or clubs. Or you can look at it from the north hand point of view. And if I look at it from the north hand point of view, I can see I'm in danger of losing a spade. Hopefully I won't lose any hearts. Hopefully I won't lose any clubs. And all I've got are these 2 diamond losers. And if I could ruff these 2 diamond losers and still draw trumps, then I would hope to only lose 1 trick, just 1 trick, the spade. So I think that's a better plan, don't you? I'm going to plan to ruff 2 diamonds in the south hand and also draw trumps, which will allow me to cash my 4 clubs. All right? Any questions on that? So let's do that. Let's suppose they lead the ace of spades, and suppose they play a diamond now. So I win that first trick, and remember my plan was to ruff 2 diamonds. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lead a low diamond, ruff that. Now I want to get back to the north hand. I can do that with a trump, because I've only got 1 more card I need to ruff, 1 more diamond I need to ruff, and then lead that 3 of diamonds, which I'm going to ruff. I ruff with the 10, let's say, and that now is all the diamonds taken care of. Now I've done that, now I want to draw trumps so that I can cash those clubs later on. So let's start with the ace of hearts. If everyone follows, there's still a trump out, okay? And I need to get rid of that trump. I need to get back to the north hand in order to draw trumps. How can I do that?
A spade. Spade. Spade.
Yeah, a spade is the only way. I'm a bit stuck here, but with any luck, I'll be able to get there with a spade. And although I'm ruffing in the north hand here, I'm ruffing in both hands, I'm really only doing it to get back to my hand so that I can, and if that succeeds, I can now draw that last trump. Yeah, and take my king of diamonds, and all the clubs are good. And I can make 12 tricks instead of the 10 tricks that I made earlier by trying to cross-ruff. Okay, so that's by far a better way of doing it, choosing a master hand and only ruffing in 1 hand. Any comments on that?
Tony, so what would happen if you decided to ruff the spades?
Okay, you could do that. in other words, I've got 3 spades that I'm planning to ruff. The danger with that, and there's a couple of reasons not to do that.
Yes.
You will be able, if you can ruff 2 spades, you'll be able to discard the other one on the king of diamonds.
King of diamonds, yeah.
But the other reason not to try to ruff spades is because of the bidding. Because West here overcalled a spade,
right.
it makes it likely that East is short in spades.
I see.
So we don't know, but if I try to ruff spades, it's quite likely that East might be able to overruff. They may not. They may never be able to, but it's probably, I think, easier to ruff diamonds twice than to try to ruff spades, especially after the bidding.
Oh yes, I didn't consider the bidding, Tony. That's a very good point.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
The other thing I wanted to point out on this hand is that some people on this hand, they make the mistake when they're playing the diamonds of trying to cash the ace and the king first. And that is not a good idea. Because you're planning to draw trump here, you should try to get those ruffs in as soon as possible. I don't know if you can see, looking at the 4 hands together, I don't know if you can see that if you started by playing the ace king of diamonds, then you'd be able to ruff a diamond, but when you played a 4th diamond, you'll be in danger of being overruffed if you haven't drawn trumps. In other words, if we play it this same way before, but we cash the king of diamonds as well, okay, maybe throwing away a spade, now when we play the 1st diamond, we can ruff the 1st one, maybe go back to our hand with the trump like we did before, but now we're increasing the risk that on that last diamond that we might get overruffed. And you might make this if you guess to play the ace here, but if you just try to play the 10, you'll suffer an overruff, okay? And you won't make that extra trick. Now, if they lead a spade, let's say, you can ruff that one, okay? But you're going to have a hard time now drawing trumps. So we can take the ace, and on this hand it's sort of quite unpleasant because now you're stuck, and there's still a trump out. You can't get to the north hand except by ruffing with your last trump, and then you wouldn't be able to draw the opponent's trump. So this is a bit awkward, and you sort of will end up a bit stuck. And the opponents will almost certainly at some point ruff a club. Okay, so you'll make 10 tricks there, and that was all caused by you trying to cash the ace king of diamonds. So you don't cash the ace king of diamonds there because you want to give yourself the best chance of being able to ruff those two diamonds. And it doesn't matter that you still have the king because you're planning to draw trumps here.
Tony?
Yeah.
What happens if you draw 1 or 2 rounds of trumps first?
Good point. Well, we did draw 1 round of trumps. In fact, the thing to think about on these hands is how many times do you need to ruff. So once you've decided on your plan that you're going to try to ruff 2 diamonds in the south hand, you need to think, can I draw trumps first, or should I do the ruffing first? And the answer is that because you've got 8 trump here, even if you get the most likely division and they're divided 2 and 3, it will take 3 rounds of trumps to draw the opponent's trumps. And in that case, you will only be able to ruff once. So you can draw... So the answer to your question is you want to ruff twice. So you mustn't draw all the trumps, but you could draw 1 or 2 rounds. Here, when we played this, we did actually draw 1 round. And we possibly could have drawn another round as well, although you need to think about that the trumps are useful here as a way of getting between the 2 hands.
Yeah. I know it's unlikely, but sometimes if you don't draw a round of trumps, you don't know if somebody's only got a singleton trump or,
Yes, I know. It's but I mean, I think you might be able to get away with drawing 2 rounds of trumps, although I think it may make it hard to get back to the north hand.
Yeah.
So if you want to get the maximum out of these hands, you really want to be ruffing 2 diamonds here. I think also, by the way, that the chance of suffering an overruff when you play the diamonds, as long as you play the ace and then a low one and then another one, it would take quite extreme distribution for you to suffer a diamond ruff. I wanted to look at a hand actually from last week. That was a random hand, and this was quite a challenging hand, and again it involved decisions about whether to draw trumps, whether to ruff in one hand, whether to ruff in both hands. And this was board 15 from last Friday. As you can see, nearly everyone played this in 4 hearts, and the majority made it, but 3 people went down. And I thought I'd have a look at this because it's a good example of trying to make a plan and trying to figure out whether to ruff, where to ruff, and when to ruff. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to look at it played 2 ways. This was one time it was played, and I've just recorded how it actually was played. This is the bidding on this one. 1 diamond, 1 heart. And then I think West should jump to 3 hearts. Even though you've only got 13 points in high cards, you've got a singleton, and you should show more than a minimum. Also, if you count your losers using the losing trick count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're 1 better than a 7 loser minimum hand. So I think 3 hearts is a good bid there, and your partner ends up in 4 hearts. So that was the bidding ended up in 4 hearts on most occasions, and South is on lead here. And first question for you is, what do you think South should lead? Yes, it's worth a sigh there, because it's by no means an easy lead. In fact, if I click on this GIB button, it will tell me that the best lead there is any of the cards with the equal sign on it. In other words, a spade or a heart is fine, or one of the aces. If you underlead one of the aces, that can lead to an over trick for declarer. In other words, to making 4 hearts plus 1. Okay. Now I'm just going to replay this as it was played, because the defender here actually did lead a club. And now declarer could actually make 11 tricks according to the computer. Let's just see how declarer played it. So declarer obviously saw that shortage in clubs and in diamonds and decided this was a hand for cross-ruffing. So they took the first trick with the queen of clubs, and then they started on diamonds. They led a diamond here. South kind of, you might think, did well not to play the ace there, but declarer didn't play the king. Declarer could have done well to play the king here, but they didn't. They played low here. They're obviously thinking about cross-ruffing, and North won with the 10 of diamonds. North played a diamond back, and now declarer got onto their plan of cross-ruffing. They're ruffing a diamond here. They played a low club, which they ruffed. They played a low diamond, which they ruffed, and they played another club, which they ruffed. Okay, and they kept going. Another diamond, and that was ruffed, and then finally their last club, which they played the ace on, and they ruffed with the queen. Okay, and so far they've just cross-ruffed. They then played the king of diamonds, and North actually did really well here not to ruff this one. What North did was they threw away their 7 of spades. Okay, and although declarer was able to ruff that one, the problem is they haven't cashed any spades. And now declarer actually didn't make any spade tricks on this hand, because the opponents have been throwing away their spades, and after the spade is won by North, declarer can win one more trump trick, and then that's it. Now East now declare us out of trumps, and the opponents are going to win the last two trump tricks. They'll make declare will only make 9 tricks on this hand. Okay, and what they didn't do was they didn't cash any spades. They just did cross-ruffing, and they were left with these spade potential tricks at the end, but they couldn't cash them because the opponents had trumps left. All right. So how should this one have gone? And this is quite a tricky hand to plan, actually. There are different ways you could play it, and let's have a little think about it. First of all, though, what would you lead on this hand? What do you think would be a better lead here with the south hand?
I would lead trump.
4 of spades.
Three of hearts.
So let's go through the options. I'm not very keen on leading either of the minor suits, because the correct lead, if you do decide to lead a diamond or a club, would be to lead the ace here against the suit contract. But leading an ace or under-leading an ace could help declarer, as we've seen. So let's look at the other suits. The heart lead is an interesting one. This particular holding against this particular bidding, where it sounds like East-West might well have an 8-card trump fit. I've got the jack. There's a possibility that your partner has the queen, and they might have, say, the queen and 2 other hearts. Now, with you having the jack and them having the queen, normally that will be 1 trick for the defense. But if you lead a heart here, you can actually help declarer avoid any heart losers. So this particular holding, if you think about it, if I lead the jack, they can beat that with the king and maybe then finesse against your partner's queen if they happen to have it. Or if I lead a low card and your partner plays the queen, they can beat that with the ace or king, and then your jack won't make a trick either. So although I'm thinking about leading a heart here, this particular holding a jack and a low card are quite unattractive to lead a heart, just because of that. I think I might lead a spade here. And with 3 cards without any honours, I'll lead the 4. Okay, so that could work out well. And now let's look at this from declarer's point of view, and let's see if we can make a plan on this hand. And it's not easy. I mean, if I look at this hand in terms of its shortages, I can see I've got a singleton here, and I've got a singleton club there. However, I've also got spades I'd quite like to cash. That's what went wrong the first time. I didn't cash any spades. So you could try on this hand to do something similar to what declarer did on the other hand, which is maybe to try to cash some spades, and then maybe try to cross-ruff. There's a danger here, though, that if you play spades, they might win with the ace and then get a ruff in spades, because you don't know how the spades are divided. So that's one possibility. The other thing to do is to look at this hand from either hand's point of view and try and identify where you've got losers and how you might get rid of them. So if I look at this hand from West's point of view, where are my losers? I've got the ace of spades, I'm going to lose. Hopefully I won't lose any hearts. I've got all these diamonds to lose, which maybe I could ruff. And I've got a club to lose, I expect. Or we can look at it from our own hand's point of view, from the East hand. If I look at the losers in the East hand, I've got what? 1 spade loser, the ace. Hopefully no heart losers. 1 diamond loser. And I've got some club losers. Okay. Now, how many... I could get rid of these club losers if I could ruff them in dummy. How many club losers might I have there that I might want to ruff?
1.
It could be 1, or it could be 2. I mean, if for example, I'm able to, if they were, for example, to lead the ace of clubs, then I've only got one loser because I can. They take a low card, and then I've got king, queen, which are winners, and one loser. But if the king or the queen lose to the ace, I do have potentially two losers there. So that's my thinking at this point. I'm thinking my best line is maybe to try to ruff two or one of these clubs in dummy, and that's what I think I'm going to try and do. So let's see how it goes. Let's suppose I play the king on this one. They take their ace, and suppose they lead a trump. That's not a bad idea because they can see that shortage in dummy, and maybe they think I'm going to do some cross-ruffing, which is well be the case. So I win that first trick with the ace. And remember we said I was thinking now about playing the clubs. I mean, I don't really want to draw trumps yet because I've got these, two club losers, and I may need to ruff them both. So I think I'm going to not play trumps yet, although that's one round gone, so I'll make a note of that there's one round gone. What I'm going to do, now that I'm in dummy, is give myself the best chance in clubs by leading a club towards my honours. It's the same principle we've looked at many times of leading towards my honours. And you can see I'm going to also try and do the same thing with my diamonds. I'm going to lead towards the king in diamond. But now I'm in dummy, I'm going to lead a club. And what I'm hoping for is that North has got the ace and he plays it. And I think he might well do if he has the ace, because he can see there's a void now in dummy, and he may worry about not getting it. So let's suppose he plays low, though. I'm going to play the king or queen, and sadly that loses to the ace. So if you go back to where you were, you've still got two losers in your two club losers in this hand. The king is now a winner, but those 8 and 3 are two potential losers, which maybe you can ruff. Anyway, let's see what happens next. Well, the opponents lead another spade, which I'm able to take. I need a bit of luck on this hand because I've not drawn trumps. I'm in danger that some of these spades might get ruffed because I've not drawn trumps yet. But let's see what happens now. Now I'm in dummy, and remember I said I wanted to ruff clubs twice. So that means I think I'm probably okay to draw a round of trumps, a second round of trumps. And I get the good news that everyone follows. So that's 8 trump gone. There's still 1 out there. And what I now want to do is see what happens in diamonds. Now I'm in my hand. Maybe I should lead a diamond towards the king. And South on this hand has the ace, and if they play it, then that promotes my king. If they didn't play it, I would have played the king and then not lost any diamonds. So as it is, they take their ace, and now I've got the king of diamonds set up, and that will allow me to discard something from the east hand. In fact, the king of diamonds will allow me to discard a club. So now I only have 1 club loser in the east hand, because that leading the diamonds has promoted a trick. All right, let's suppose they play another spade. Well, now this is where I sort of have to have my fingers crossed that they're not going to get a ruff with their last trump, which they might do. But I'm lucky on this occasion. The spades divided evenly, and there was no ruffing available. So now we're in good shape. There's just 1 trump left, and we've also got the king of diamonds set up. So what we're going to do, because we now only need to ruff once, we can draw that last trump. Okay, so now they can't ruff anything. And now I can cash the king of diamonds, which I've set up, discarding a club. And now we're in good shape. We can cross over here to with a diamond ruff over to my hand. And now the east hand is good, with the exception of the 8 of clubs. So all I need to do now, there are no trumps outstanding, so I can now cash my king. and my queen, and then ruff that last club. Okay, so that, different lines will work on this hand. In fact, the spades divide evenly. So another way to make this would have been to cash a few spades and then cross-ruff the hand. That would have worked out quite well. But otherwise, you need to think about your potential losers. And the number of losers you have depends on how, where the ace of clubs and where the ace of diamonds is. But if you can make an extra trick by leading towards your honor, that's a really important principle on this one. You can at least make an extra trick with your king, set up a trick with your king of diamonds, so you don't need to ruff. So very often the decision about how to play a hand involves thinking about how many times do I need to ruff? Can I afford to draw trumps, or should I ruff before I've drawn trumps? And this hand was especially complicated because it wasn't quite clear how many times you needed to ruff clubs. It depended on playing the clubs and the diamonds and seeing who had the ace of diamonds in each case. Any questions on that?
Can I ask about the defense?
Yes.
I understood your explanation about why South chose to lead a spade.
Yes.
What did partner make of that?
Well, the four of spades sort of looks like it might be from a suit with an honor in it, and it might be your fourth higher. So it looks like a low spade, doesn't it? And a low card would tend to suggest that it could be a suit with an honor in it. Now, if North wins that one, he might decide to play a spade back, thinking that his partner might have the queen there. On the other hand, if he does do that, he can see that it's going to set up a spade for declarer because he's got the jack 10 there. So if your partner has the queen and he gets in, he can cash it if he wants. But my reasoning that North might shift to a trump is seeing that singleton in dummy and thinking maybe declarer's planning to ruff clubs. Maybe I should lead a trump at this point.
That makes sense, but once South got in, they went on leading spades.
They did, didn't they?
Knowing that the jack 10 and queen were in East and West's hands. So why would they go on doing that?
Right. Well, let's see. How did it go on the first trick? They played a spade and the king lost to the ace. So South doesn't really know who's got the queen, I think. Isn't that right?
Well, of course, they can't see that. Yeah, sorry.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it could be right. I don't know if it matters too much. Yeah, maybe they should. I tend to agree with you. Given that your partner has decided maybe we should shift to a trump, that South should probably try and please his partner maybe and carry on in trumps. I don't think it really matters too much on this hand. But either thing is reasonable. I don't think on this hand it matters too much what you play at this stage. But yeah, it's a good thought. Any other questions on that? I will say this was quite a tricky hand, and it needed a bit of luck. It's sort of not like some of the sort of textbook hands where it all goes well for you. But do think about the principles here of leading towards your honours. That was a really important one. That's what allowed you to make a trick with your king of diamonds, and it could have helped you in clubs if North had the ace too. But as it turned out, one thing worked, the other thing didn't. But that was probably the best line to aim to ruff at least one club in dummy. Any questions on that?
No.
Anyway, that was it for today. I hope you found that interesting. It was quite challenging. Is there anyone on here who needs a partner? I think I got a message. Let me have a look. Well, anyway, if you need a partner, go and sit at table 7 or any other table and just let me know if you need a partner, and I'll fill in if there's someone else needing a partner. But that's it for the lesson today. It's 20 minutes to go, so the game has opened up, so I'll see you on the real bridge game. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye,
Janie.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later. See you in a few minutes, maybe.